5 life-changing pieces of coaching advice from Nick Nurse's most recent memoir for the young coaches out there. That includes myself. I'm a young high school basketball coach and the founder of BTG Basketball, the director of training here. And I'm going to share the best one for last, but each lesson is packed with insight that I will break down for each and every one of us young coaches and trainers who have aspirations to make a huge impact on our athletes. So let's dive in. The first insight and lesson I want to share with you all is something that you have probably heard recently because it's a trend right now in the coaching world, and that is Nick Nurse has a goal. It's a goal to have a 6-to-1 praise to criticism ratio. Now, you may be saying that's a lot of praise. A couple of things that he says that are very simple. Great ball pressure, way to block out, great pass. So little simple things like that. And remember, it's a goal. And so for me, I'm a high school basketball coach. I coach freshmen. It can be challenging to find that 6-to-1 because when you're coaching and you're training, developing athletes that are younger, they may not always be doing 6-to-1 praise to criticism ratio. And it doesn't mean that you don't coach, right? Because now here in my second point, all right, he says that it's incredibly important that you have to address players' mistakes. And this is something that I think I have been most challenged with me and my coaching is when it comes to addressing mistakes, we have to do it right then and there. And if we don't do it, if we don't correct those mistakes, our players actually lose trust in us. That's one of the biggest differences, right? I believe between, an athlete and a coach, right? You have to correct their mistakes, whether that's when you're running a play or maybe you're a trainer like myself as well. We have to correct their form. If we're not correcting, if they don't want to be coached, then they don't have to get playtime and they don't have to, train and be a part of our program. We have to train and correct. It's something that, I have actually been challenged with because I recognize my strength is building relationships, and I think sometimes because of my wanting to be liked as a young coach, I don't always give the best corrective feedback, and that's something I'm actually going to be working on in the 2024 year. And if you're watching this, I'm recording this at the end of 2023, so make sure that you are correcting your athletes. Next, I would say this is one of the most important points of the book, and he talks about how athletes view games. And, a lot of times players will play scared in games because they are afraid of being pulled out and subbed out if they make a mistake. Well, guess what? What ends up happening is they end up playing scared and making more mistakes. So Nick Nurse talks about one of the things that he learned from a coach that he played under is playing without fear. And then using this acronym for fear, face everything and rise. And yes, it's a cheesy quote, but we're in the coaching industry. Of course, we're going to have a couple of cheesy sayings. It's really important to recognize that fear is, number one, it's psychological, it's made up, it's in our own head, right? And how to deal with it. I think helping our athletes play without fear, instilling confidence in them that it's okay to make a mistake. I believe in teaching them how to respond to mistakes. So it's to clap and move on. Whatever mistake response, you can go have them flush a toilet, whatever it is. I think it's just incredibly important for them to learn how to respond to mistakes and play without fear versus, playing timid and tight, and I believe that's one of the things that separates, good players from great players is, as that I think that's one of the reasons people are in awe. Michael Jordan, that dude played without fear. Kobe Bryant, he played without fear. And there has to be some level of audacity when you're an athlete, to take shots that, especially if you're a scorer, that, maybe other people won't want to take, and do you want to be the guy or the girl at the end of the game who takes that game-winning shot, because there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that. So playing without fear is an incredibly important lesson to instill into our athletes. Now, the fourth takeaway from this may be the most interesting because it contradicts what a lot of us think in our own head. And that is, Nick Nurse he's coached in Europe, he's coached in the G League, he's coached in it when it was called the D League, and he's coached at, various colleges here in the United States, and he's been everywhere, and his story it's pretty amazing based on, kind of the clubs he coached at in Europe. He ended up having to be a part owner of a team. He's coached teams that, dilapidated at the end of the year and were no longer a team, and teams that had no budget, no money, but he just did it because he loved coaching the game. And one of the things that he talked about is it doesn't matter what level you are coaching, what country you are coaching, winning a championship, like a national championship, like the NBA Finals, an NCAA championship, a state championship, it always feels the same. And what do I mean by that is that it feels amazing. He talked about how when he won with the Raptors, it didn't feel any different than when he won over in Europe or when they won the G League championship, because it means that your team at whatever division or level you're at is at the peak, in the top of whoever you are playing, and there's nothing that can take away from that. I think sometimes we believe as coaches, if I win an NBA or a WNBA title or an Olympics gold medal, an Olympics may be a little bit different because you're playing for pride in a country. However, if I win the NBA title as a coach, that's going to be the pinnacle. Well, in reality, we need to just focus on where we are, which leads into my last point and the most important one I have for coaches, and I know that I feel like is one of the most transformational and for myself, is Nurse would talk about how there was one summer, him and his assistant coach, they just got into a bunker, and all they did was they spent time drawing up plays, like for after timeouts, they got to drawing up plays, right, to, if they were down by 2, if they were up by 2, and they just went through and they put in so much work. I believe before Nurse won his first championship in his first year head coaching with the Raptors, he had 30 years of head coaching experience under his belt. And I think one of the things that we think about as young coaches is we believe that we have to, buddy and network, and I think the words that he's using in his book is he's like, young coaches are just focused on bumping up and making connections and kind of leaping and jumping to that next job. And while I believe obviously connections are incredibly important and we should spend time and develop relationships with other coaches and trainers and athletes and administrators for basketball teams, etc., if we are not prepared for our next job, it does not matter the people that we meet. So let's say here, right now, I am a freshman and sophomore basketball coach at a very solid high school in Los Angeles. Now, let's say here that I was just showing up to practice. I wasn't practice planning. I wasn't thinking about my X's and O's. And I wanted to apply for a varsity job next year. Guess what? I would be getting smoked because I was not prepared. You have to prepare for your opportunity. Each opportunity where you are at. Whether you're coaching 10U club kids like I was earlier this year. You're coaching freshman high school basketball players. Whether they're boys or girls, doesn't matter. Basketball is basketball. You need to approach, right, each season of life, each season of the team you are coaching with conviction, with understanding that I'm going to put as much preparation in this because this prepares me for the future. And we can't skip steps. And so that's what I'm taking away. I'm still a young coach at 25 years old, and I'm still trying to become a better coach, better team coach, and a better trainer every single day. And this was a great read. It's the holiday season, so whenever you are listening and watching this, I highly recommend this book. It's a wonderful, wonderful kind of journey and encapsulation of Nick Nurse's journey as a coach and coaching from England to different countries in Europe to he's from Iowa and coaching at the G League, and just talks about how you can find a way to win damn near anywhere, and it's a really great book. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want more content on how to become a better coach. Talk about 10xing your impact on your athletes. So hope everyone has a wonderful day. Coach Furtado out.